President Obama is making a series of campaign-style appearances to put pressure on Congress to come to an agreement on the fiscal cliff, including this event at the White House today with middle-class taxpayers who would be hurt by the cliff. But Obama isn't the only one interested in pushing Congress. Big companies are lobbying for tax reforms as the deal is negotiated. Business reporter Jia Lynn Yang has been reporting on exactly what they're pushing for. And basically what we're talking about is something called the territorial tax. What is that?
So this is a very technical, arcane part of the corporate tax code, but it's actually...
This sounds like a very exciting segment.
I know, but it's actually really important.
Okay.
Because a lot of money is at stake. This is all about how we tax how much money U.S. multinationals make overseas. And it's very important because all these businesses, whether it's Walmart, Caterpillar, GE, they're all moving overseas to chase growth. So this is where they think the future is. So we're talking potentially hundreds of billions of dollars of tax revenues at stake here.
Which companies are pushing for this the most?
So the big U.S. multinationals. The domestic smaller companies, you're not going to hear them talk about this because they don't have, overseas operations. So Honeywell, the CEO of that company, Dave Cote, has been really out in front on this with the Business Roundtable, that business group, and through the Simpson-Bowles Commission, which is very influential in this whole debate. The CFO of Caterpillar has gone on the record saying that he supports territorial, CEO of Walmart. So all these big, iconic U.S. companies are really behind this.
So how are they taxed? How do they want to be taxed?
So currently we have this very complex, dysfunctional system that everybody hates, which is that the companies overseas, whatever they make, they're supposed to get taxed at 35%. That's the top rate for corporate taxes. They're supposed to pay this when they bring the money back to the U.S., so they end up actually just never bringing it home.
In part because other countries do it differently.
Other countries do it differently. So most other countries don't tax money made overseas. And so a lot of these businesses are saying, look, the U.S. system is completely out of step with the rest of the world. We need to be more competitive. We have to reform our tax code. But then, of course, the details get more complicated again, because this is, again, taxes. And so a lot of people are worried, well, if you stop taxing the profits that companies are making overseas, doesn't that just make them want to exploit tax havens more, move more jobs overseas, and generally hurt, do things that might hurt the U.S. economy as they're chasing growth? And so there's a balance here of how do you help companies be more competitive but prevent some of these abuses?
So do we think something could happen with this fiscal cliff end-of-year negotiation with territorial tax? Because my impression has been that the rewriting of the tax code is so complicated, that's going to have to be like a year out.
Right. So there's a possibility that any negotiations going on now might deal with attaching reform next year to whatever they decide to do at the end of this year. What's interesting about all this is that, in my mind, companies have been pushing for this for years now. They've really been, this is it's not familiar to most people, but for corporate lobbyists who work on taxes, this has been topic number one for them. And this fiscal cliff is offering an opportunity for them to bring it up again and say, well, why not, why don't we just not only fix what's going on this year, but let's think bigger. Let's do something about territorial next year. And so that's why you're not hearing about it very much right now, but it could become a big issue next year.
All right. Jia Lynn, thanks a lot.
Thank you.